read the script, and my usual, idea is I read the script as soon as possible because, film schedules are very, very tight, and they need to know who's going to be on it and who's not. So I read it, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to read the first 10 pages, and then I'll see if I want to read it later that night. So I read the first 10, then I read the first 20, then the first 30, the first 40. Then before I knew it, I read the whole thing in like 15, 20 minutes. And it completely ruined my day because I was not ready to be like ripped apart like that, if you know what I mean. Like I wasn't ready to feel those emotions, and it just blew me away. And literally for the rest of the day, I was really depressed, and no one knew why. And I was like, this script, I put it down and I said, I have to do this movie. Research is very much, if you have the time to do it, it's very much a privilege. Sometimes the schedule doesn't allow and you just have to get to work. But it's very much a privilege that I don't take lightly, and I definitely like to know what I'm going to do before I sit down to do it. And the best metaphor I've ever thought of for doing research, it's like, the music is a character sitting in the audience who starts laughing, who starts crying before everyone else, so everyone else knows it's okay to cry. Or the other way, just straight right into the picture, is like someone sitting at the bottom of the audience holding an applause sign, or a laugh sign, or a cry sign. So, doing the research, that's definitely probably one of the funnest parts to me, because you discover this whole new world that you didn't know existed. I started from the first scene and just worked through, and he'd come over every 2 weeks, and through that, I was able to discover new character themes, well, new versions of the character theme, and we just worked through the film scene by scene by scene, and picked everything apart and put things in there that the average film goer will hopefully they'll notice it, but I don't know if they will or not. So me and Eric, we'll be thinking the same things, and we won't tell each other until he'll email me in the middle of the night and be like, hey, I was thinking this and this, and I'll say, guess what I'm doing right now. So we're very much in sync, and that's definitely great that all he has to say is swell here, and I know exactly what he means. And all he has to say, sad here, and I know exactly what he means. And that's something definitely is nice. Me and Ludwig talk all day. I have no idea how much Ludwig approved all this movie before Eric saw it. I'll write something like so, and then he'll give me that look, and I'll know I have to rewrite it. How we're doing this movie, which is unfortunate in my world. We don't have the budget for a live orchestra. I would love to hire the BSO, get Marian Alsop to conduct my score and go to a big fancy studio, but we just simply don't have it. So I'm got to do with the best of what you have. So what I did, I got a lot of very high quality sample, the best you can get, and the biggest thing about synthesized strings or sampled strings is you have to make sure that they fade in and fade out like real strings would. So basically, say if I wanted a French horn, I would go onto the keyboard and I'd play, or whatever note I'd want to play. And I play that through here, it records it like this, so we record that. And then, say we want to add something else. We'll add a violin, or I think that's the violins. I'm pretty sure. So then you hit record, and usually I have a tempo thing going. And you just go through and you go through, and until you get 40-some tracks of that, and you just do that over and over again until you get what you need. I wanted to make his music uncomfortable. I didn't want to make it evil, blatantly. Eventually, it gets blatantly evil, but I didn't want to, just use accidentals the whole way, wrong notes in that key, for example, and make it sound just too over the top. So his was a fun theme to play with, and it's probably my favorite melody out of the whole thing. It's this idea of, you can take it an uncomfortable place, you can take it to an almost happy place. You can take it to an evil place, and the theme kind of lives and breathes along with the character. I had a lot of fun playing with the idea of ancient music, like this could be the score to some preacher's wife back in the 3rd century or something. So I had a lot of fun, exploring that and making her theme sound so ancient and using solo instruments like the old classical music of the church. So, but then it starts turning more modern and a larger orchestra, and a larger orchestration, more instruments playing her little theme, and you know that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to play with. Was Sunny's idea of, you know, she's an ancient person living in modern times, and like playing with that, and then she, you know, comes out of her cave and realizes that, you know, the world around her, there's cars now, there's planes now, you know what I mean? So I had a lot of fun playing with that. That was a fun one for me. It's this idea of someone internally who's pulling and pushing and pulling and pushing, and then eventually they snap. And it's the idea of his theme, you know, walks up, but it's going down as it's walking up, and I just tried to really show that, you know, here's a person that on the outside, maybe in the beginning, he doesn't look so troubled, but as you dive deeper into who he is, he's a very, you know, very troubled guy. Like, he's very undecided. Like, he hasn't gone through that you know, last phase of puberty where you figure out who you are, and he doesn't know who he is. And what a more horrible reality to realize than not knowing who you are. The love themes and spouse themes are extensions of the characters' themes. They all have their own kind of identity, and the great thing is they all play well off each other, and it makes a complete piece of music when they're together. But when they're apart, it's a different sound. Sometimes on frustrating days, I'll cue up the strings and I'll just play over it. And music, you know, can completely change your perception of what you're watching. Like, I played this little staccato bouncy thing one day just to humor myself. It turned it into a comedy, and it was like, wow. It's amazing the power the music has. You know, it could be a very simple image, you know, just of a ring, but the music makes you go, that's the ring that means this. And you know, you don't want to explain things to the audience. You don't want to be condescending about it, but you want to be right there with them, discovering. And you know, I'm not saying I made the film better or worse. I mean, it's not really my call to say whether I made it better or worse, but it does make it different. And I remember watching the first cut without music. It's a more, like, you felt it before, but with the music you feel it now. Queued up. This is the third act, the whole third act, and musically, if you can see, lots of stuff going on there, especially this very end of the third act. Wouldn't you like to see that?